What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the weekly walk-off. We got Nate and myself here on Sunday, June 18th, and the San Francisco Giants are the best team in baseball at the moment. 15-0 win against the Dodgers yesterday, and we're busting out the brims today. Let's go, baby.
Love it. Love it.
Nate, how you
been? Been good. Sox not bad right now. Taking some games off the Yanks. We always like that. Feeling for Tanner Houck right now. I don't know if you saw that. I saw it live and my head went into my hands the second I saw it. It was hard to watch. One of the tougher plays I've seen live. So hoping for the best for him. Scary moment, but still pulling for my Sox even down in the cellar in the AL East.
They're not doing too bad. I mean, they're
a good baseball team.
They're hanging tough. They're playing good baseball. The NL East is tight as always. Some fun series this past week. What type of baseball you been watching this week?
A little bit everything. Having bought Semien and Sorare in the offseason and then winning Nathaniel Lowe as one of my early good prizes and then slowly trickling. Like I bought Seager. So bought Seager right before he came back for like $25. So I have that whole stack. And therefore, over the last month, I've been watching a whole lot of Rangers baseball, which is fun. They've cooled off just a touch at the moment, but definitely been taking in a lot of Texas baseball.
That's definitely a fun team to watch. I am in the background in my peripheral right now. I got the Padres Rays on.
Nice.
We'll pull up our lineups in just a second here. I had mentioned earlier to you that we had a request in the comments, which I love, that they wanted to kind of get into what our lineup strategies are here on Sorare MLB just a little bit more and kind of pull up how we put together our teams and all that kind of stuff. So, but the reason why I got the Padres game on in the back right here is that I think my best shot at a nice, sweet reward today would be a Musgrove win and a Hader save with some Devers points at the end of the night.
Nice. Yeah, I've got nothing crazy exciting this week. I've got one fringe lineup. My limited all-star lineup is sitting at 392 overall, with Devers going late and Doval playing right now, which could turn into a save situation if the Dodgers get a couple more. So not a crazy exciting week for me. Couple lineups around 170 points that are just on the edge of not being great.
Yeah. There's been a big change in Sorare since we last had an episode. I mean, week 23 was when the rare competitions put the kibosh on NL and AL limited cards.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So how have you seen, have you seen any trends in the scores so far? I mean, we had that massive week. Can we talk about JT Realmuto and
we gotta talk about last game week at length because it was wild, man. I scored 360 points in Common All-Star and didn't get a limited reward. Like last week was nuts. We had multiple hitters go over 100 points, which I had never seen before. We had some big performances, and the Phillies were a huge stack. If you had a bunch of Phillies, like you said, Realmuto went over 100 points, but he was far from the only Philly to have a big week. So you had to be hitting long ball after long ball to place truly high in the last game week because the scores were out of control.
You gotta love a game week like that. I mean, like, absolutely. It sucks to put up a 360 and not get a limited reward, but I mean, you got to tip your cap at the same time. That's pretty incredible.
Yeah, for sure.
We got Realmuto and Shohei both on the thumbnail photo of this week's video, deservingly so.
Yep.
Miguel also needs a Josh Hader. Let me know, Brennan, welcome in. Miguel, John, welcome in, everybody. Let me know what you guys are looking at to close out this week. Let's talk about our sweats. I'll pull up my screen right now. We can kind of just go through some of my general thoughts on my roster construction for the upcoming week. And then also some stuff that I kind of foresee moving forward a little bit, maybe of a strategy shift. I had mentioned we could pull up the lineup where I won the Rare Bautista last week too. That was definitely one of my cooler moments in Sorare MLB so far, where I won a rare tier 2, came in 8th out of a couple thousand in the rare all-star competition, 1,200, and was able to pull that. So let me pull up that lineup and see who came through for me real quick. No, it wasn't 22. I think it was 21. Yep. Nope, I think it was 20. Let me see here. There she is. And of course, what's my lowest score aside from Chapman, who's just been so bad? Reliever. Exactly. And what do? I get rewarded with a beautiful reliever who puts up 26, I think the next 2 weeks for me. And I cash in with a $99, $99 worth of ETH to use on the marketplace. And I'm still sitting on that and kind of trying to figure out what my strategy is going forward here. So Varsho had a huge week that week. My only lone limited card that I had in that competition was Jose Ramirez, and did he have 3 in one game?
Yeah, he did.
Okay. He had 3 in one game, which is beautiful.
Yeah. It's a beautiful thing for Sorare.
Yeah, absolutely. And Gosman, just dependable as can be. I mean, like, he's had 1 or 2 bad starts this whole entire season. If not, I mean, he's hit the 50-point threshold multiple times. And, it pains me to say, but I'm considering trying to maybe selling him. Going now that there are more rares needed for, rare AL lineup, rare NL lineup. I'm starting to think, can I spread that out a little bit more and get a couple of $15 starters, on my roster and just have a little bit deeper of a rare pool. And then also just in general, kind of thinking, I'm starting to earn some more cards too. Is it time to start selling some off? Because I can't use those limiteds in the rares anymore, which, shrinks down my limited pool. And, now instead of playing somebody like Salvador Perez, who's been really good, like, how am I not going to play Bo Bichette or Seager? Right. Yep. So that's just kind of the stuff that's going through my mind in general. 261 points for an 8th place finish in Rare All-Star. That was super fun. That was a great sweat to that week. Had a chance, of course. I don't know how many times I can count. I can count, probably not on my 2 hands, how many times Chapman stranded the bases loaded this season.
Yeah, he's back to, being more of what we expected him to be. Had an insane start, obviously, and still having a good season, but definitely some frustration there as well.
He'll come back around. I mean, these guys are streaky, right?
Yeah, that's baseball, man.
The numbers even out, which is more so goes back to, like, you're able to buy low too. I mean, we had this conversation last time we were on the chat. You're definitely able to buy low and find guys who are, in a little bit of a slump. Maybe Chapman right now is a good guy to buy, to be honest. Like, because when he gets streaky, in this chat, we talked about guys like Teoscar Hernandez too, who started to catch fire a little bit more.
Yeah, that's actually, he was my prize. I don't know if you want to, I've got my game 22 pulled up here. So this is the all-star lineup that I was just referring to. I did get a nice tier 1 comment. I ended up with a Tatis. Not at all mad about that. That should pay dividends in being able to compete more significantly. So there was actually a good conversation that I was having someone in the Nifty Discord. Apologize, I forget who it was off the top of my head, but they were just saying how, kind of not so bad to end up with a high-end tier 1 versus an 87-cent tier 5 limited, which is a good point, because now I've got that Tatis card, and hopefully that helps me get a run at an even bigger limited card. But at the end of the day, as you can see, 27,000 people, like, it's still cool to come in 128th. It's a free contest. It is what it is, right? Like, 360 is nothing to be upset about. I had fun with that lineup. But then on the real side of things, my limited NL lineup put up a pretty nice week, and I was a real Muto short of having the most ideal Philly stack. But as you can see, Castellanos, Trey Turner, Schwarber, all coming through. And then I stacked the other side of that, or mini stacked, I should say, the other side of that series with Walker and Marte. Marte's been unreal lately. Really, the only thing that let me down was my pitching, and that's, take that with a grain of salt. 24 and 10 is not horrible. So
Yeah.
ended up with a tier 3 tier 3 on that, which was Teoscar. Is that tier 3 or tier 2? I forget. Yeah, that's tier 3 because top 25 is tier 2 on the ALNL. So got a Teoscar there. And then it was a couple weeks ago. Here, let me see. What did I? Yeah, back in game week 20, ended up with a tier 3 Cabrian Hayes on All-Star coming in 152nd. And then the week before that, week 19, 21st in the NL only, getting a tier 2 Kirby, which I ended up selling.
Nice.
And so NL only, All-Star, NL only, these have been the spots that have been yielding the most cards through those few game weeks. I've also gotten 3 tier 4s, so a tier 2, 2 tier 3s, and 3 tier 4s. Plus, then if you go back to game week 18, another tier 2 and Batty there. So that was also an all-star. All this, the point being that I'm starting to lean towards those 3 contests a little bit more. And it's still hard not to want to put my best lineup in pro.
Yep.
And I'm putting up good numbers in pro. But like, for example, last week in pro, I put up 226 points, finished 330th, not good enough to even grab, that 250th spot to yield something. And it's a good chance if I put that in one of the other contests, I probably at least grab a tier 5 or a tier 4. So it really is materially different to try and yield limited cards in anything other than pro. And I'm at a point where I'm feeling like maybe that's the better bet. I know that I'm limiting my upside, and in a given week that could happen, but would it really be so bad to end up with a tier 1 limited if that happens? Like, probably not going to be that upset about it. I also, the one other point, and then I'll end this long-winded rant, is that in the beginning, I hadn't realized that if you fall into a tier 2 or a tier 3, that it wasn't completely random. I thought you were just in that bucket and everybody in that bucket was going to be randomly assigned someone from that tier. Now that I've realized that it's the higher you finish in that bracket, the better a card you're getting, it makes me feel even more like I'm not so mad about getting a high-end tier 2 or a high-end tier 3 in a lineup that probably gets me nothing or maybe a tier 5 in the pro contest. So given what my collection looks like, I'm starting to consider that as a possibility, but week in, week out, I'm doing different things.
Yeah. So that's interesting food for thought, because I like where you're going with that. I'm still aiming for tier 3s no matter what. Switching over to the rare competitions for me, right? Like, only, let me pull up my screen here. I think it's the top 20 get tier 3s in the rare competition. So let me see here. Where do I find that? I'm used to looking at it on the app.
No, it's right. It's right there. Scroll down.
Okay.
It's just the blue on the side right there. Yeah, 6 through 20, tier 3.
6 through 20 is a tier 3. That's like really hard, man.
Yeah.
I mean, so when it comes to that, like, I'm more so even potentially thinking about shifting my rare strategy only to a boomer bust strategy, where I maybe invest into one general stack and play it in rare every single week like a fantasy team.
Yep.
That paid off really well for me when it came to on Sorare MLB. So I had a couple guys that I really liked that all had boomer, like really big boom potential. And I would just play the same guys every single week. And it ended up yielding me some really, really nice stuff. Now, you're not going to hit all the time, but
stacking's the way to execute on that, I think.
Exactly. And if you can get some good stuff in here, I have the potential for a couple different stacks, right? So I can go, for me personally, just looking at this lineup here, I didn't even, my rare all-star lineup was like my last priority thing this week. Like, I decided that I liked my rare AL team just a little bit better. Like, most of the lineup that I was able to fill out was all AL. So I went the AL route, and look, with a Fairbanks save, with a Rizzo home run, like, I'm right in there, which is definitely possible to do. But if you look at the guys that I have, like, Chappie and Varsho, that's a potential Blue Jay stack. Am I going to pull the trigger on a, Bo Bichette or a Vladdy? Probably not. No, but I have Belt when he gets back. I could go the, maybe the Springer route. One of those other guys on that team, or, Teoscar, I could throw Eugenio Suarez in there or Cal Raleigh in there and go that stack route, right? And then maybe mix it up on the other side of things. Rizzo, I mean, DJ LeMahieu is a possible one. So there's things that you can do if you're really going to get a nice matchup in a nice week. I'm really starting to think that Bautista yield that I got, the $100, is going to go in a bunch of different places.
Yeah.
There's even guys that I like. There's guys that I like out there that are doing, $15 for a good starter. I mean, you got who am I trying to think of off the top of my head? That's $15 for like a good starter. I think Clark Schmidt, Domingo Germán, like he got blown up this week, but they're going to have some good performances. And if, you're needing to make the top 20 to yield anyways, you might as well throw something in that AL lineup and then play your best possible lineup in a rare pro, as like a fantasy style team. So that's kind of what I'm thinking strategy wise. And I have plenty of limiteds at this point now that I can't use them in these rare AL and rare NL. Like it's time for me to start selling a couple of them. Cause like I said earlier, like I got Corey Seager, I have Bichette, I have Lindor. Like those guys are going to be my shortstop, middle infield guys. Right? Salvi, he could be an extra hitter and he's great. But he's also, an $8 card that can be used towards, your boy Tanner Scott as a rare reliever, So just a little bit of strategy on that end. Let me see. Do I have any shot here? Yeah. Devers.
I was just going to say, I'm looking at, so I keep track of all my contests. I have been, I've got an Excel sheet going so I can see what contests I have yielded in and what my percentage finish is. And while not entirely consistent, for the most part, I have prioritized my limited pro lineup all along, which means that anything that I'm winning in a different contest wasn't even the lineup that I thought was my best lineup. And as I look at my top 7 finishes on the year, all which were in the top 4% of that contest, not a single one was pro. AL only, NL only, All-Star, NL only, All-Star, NL only, AL only. All those were not my primary lineup, and that netted me a combination of 5 tier 2s and 2 tier 3s. And so that's why I feel like, I've got a couple 8th and 9th place are pro contests that I grabbed a couple tier 3s, a Doval, a Lowe, Nathaniel Lowe, both of which I kept. So like it hasn't been completely fruitless in that area, but it's exciting to think what that might turn into if I start prioritizing my main lineup in All-Star instead of pro. At least right now, while I've got a pretty solid collection, but I still don't have Acuna, Ohtani, Trout, across the board. Like I've got Freddie Freeman, I've got Jordan, who unfortunately just went down. He was just ripping it up. I've got Bichette, so I've got some big names, but I don't have that top tier. And it's tough to compete. That's the way that Sorare is built. And I have no problem with that. I love it. I think it's a great design. But it's about knowing where you fit in. It's that money ball strategy that you've been talking about and you've been preaching to me since before I bought my first limited card. You got to find your lane, and there's something for everybody all the way down. If you have a $100 budget on limited, you can still be really competitive in majors on the common side of things. So I think that Sorare has done a good job of creating a variety of contests, and it's up to you to figure out where you slot in order to be competitive. And so to me, it's feeling like maybe I'm biting off just a little bit too much with pro if I want to win consistently.
Yep. And that's something for me that I realized in the All-Star or not in the rare level too, right? Like, do you want to spread yourself too thin anywhere you go? Like we talked about a solid number of cards to, consistently enter every single limited competition. You got to have 100 cards close to be really competitively winning, to get a chance to win or podium in every single of those contests unlimited. 100 cards is probably a fair number, or right around there. Sure. That's not to say that you can't win or, even podium with the Moneyball strategy, because you can. It's just the likelihood of it and the consistency of it. It's going to be just a little bit less, right?
You want 4 feasible lottery tickets in each, for sure.
No doubt. No doubt. Shall we look ahead into game week 24?
Sure. Let's do it.
Let's do it. Let's do it. In the chats, if you guys have anything in mind for right now, game week 24, game week 25, as we pull it up, shout it out in here. Let us know how your teams are doing. Who am I seeing in here? I'm seeing a Phillies fan. I'm seeing a Cardinals fan. Arenado's starting to look good again. Hopefully the Cardinals can bring it back. Let me see here. Let's talk. Let's pull up game week 24 as we kind of take a look at the standings real quick. I mean, we just kind of jump into these and, see who's up at the top of the divisions. The Rays, the Twins, the Guardians are hanging tight in there. The Rangers up at the top, the Braves, the Brew Crew, and the Reds are just playing out of their mind. I mean, can we talk about Elly De La Cruz real quick?
Yeah, man. I was just saying to you right before we went live, I don't know if anybody has been on social media in the last hour, but another ball hit to first base that Elly De La Cruz beats out for an infield single. This one was even crazier. He hit the ball even harder. Abreu makes a diving play at first and has to sprint to first base to try and make a sliding play. And Elly still beats him on a head first slide. The dude is just a human highlight reel. It's crazy. It's fun to watch.
It is so much fun, man. That first home run, the exit velocity on that, what was it, 119?
Something. It was the hardest any Red had hit all season, whatever it was.
And then just stretches doubles into triples. Like, I mean, his major league debut, like his first ever hit, was insane. I mean, like that thing got to the wall, like it passed. I think it was Mookie, right? Like Mookie was out there and the ball just ripped past him to the wall, and like he had to play the hop, and like no chance at second. I think it was a stand-up double. What is this guy going for? 163 is the low ask. Again, don't know if it's worth it, but I mean, they're going on auction for $90 to $100. Yeah. That's cool.
It's kind of just like with any guy like this, to me, if you want one and you want him just like forever, then it's kind of cool to go grab one right now when the supply is really low. For me personally, just like at that price, knowing that it's so directly tied to the lack of supply, it's a hard buy. But I don't fault anybody for wanting to do it, because given the makeup of Sorare, there's only 10 of these things out there right now. If he has a big week, then you're one of the very few people with it. So there's a reason for it being as expensive as it is. It's not just the lack of supply. It's also the added benefit of having 10 of them instead of 500 of them.
There we go. So this is a question that we get pretty often actually here on the channel. And I've actually got a DM on this on Twitter. So if that person is watching this now, I've tried to explain, and apologies if I didn't, continue the conversation. Been trying to, been really active in the Discord, but the DMs have gotten a little bit busy lately. Here's where you're going to find the supply, right? So this is total supply, including all of last season, right? They're like, okay, why would they continuously release 5,000? Look, they don't. That's just a maximum number, right? So even though it's out of 5,000, if you go into soraredata.com, scroll up, type in their name at the top right-hand corner here, there are 11 cards of Elly De La Cruz right now. And there are 9 rares. So 11 limiteds, 9 rares. That's extremely rare.
Just for comparison, Devers has 273 limiteds and 58 rares. And he's been in this game since it started. He wasn't hurt. It was never stopped. Just a decent control to look at.
There we go. Rafael Devers. Plays all the time, doesn't get injured, 273 and 58. So that's out of the potential 5,000 that they could have released last year. Like, we're talking less than 10, what is that, 5% or 3% of total supply on the 5,000, and then cut that in half for 10,000 on the season. So like 2%.
Yeah.
So they're not getting out of control with mint counts here on Sorare. They're keeping it reasonable. We got some fun questions down here. Huds Dog, what's going on? Welcome in. Ellie or Pena? Keeper league.
I'm in this league with him, so I'm gonna say Pena just to give him the wrong advice.
Yeah, there we go. No brainer for me, man. Give me Ellie all day.
Yep.
That is unbelievable. I'm actually not in a keeper league or a dynasty league. I'm gonna have to try that out next year for sure. But what else are we going into? Oh yeah, so game week 24. Let's pull some stuff up.
Yep.
Let me see here. Here's the schedule for the upcoming week. Let's get into Monday. 4 teams, or 4-game teams: Arizona, Washington, Boston, Minnesota, San Diego, the best team in baseball, San Francisco, KC, and Miami.
And then also 3 2-game weeks, Baltimore and both LA teams. Worth avoiding. Tough to make payday with 2-game week.
Definitely. I will say this about a 2-game week, and it's something that I've noticed because my cards haven't sold on a 2-game week, but maybe a really, really good time to put in offers on those 3 teams.
Great point. And you could even expand on that point. 2 games is significant, right? It's really weird, but even just 3 versus 4 games, I've noticed a big difference in liquidity. If you have a card that you've been looking to move, try and catch it on a 4-game first half game week, super liquid. If it's only got a 3-game, you're probably pressing to sell it. You're not going to get quite as much. So yeah, I stumbled upon that. Hadn't even been thinking about it. Makes perfect sense, but great point.
It does make sense. I mean, and those are some really solid stacks you can build if you're looking to build long term on a 2-game week right now. We're getting into the middle of the season anyways. I mean, naturally, like you would hope that like Sorare continues to build interest. I think at this time, like what we saw in basketball, there's a little bit of interest lost when people, go through half the season and aren't yielding, unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
But think of it as an opportunity, right? Like this thing is going to be around and it's going to be better next year. They're already talking about daily games for NBA next season on their roadmap. Going to be so cool.
Mm-hmm.
But teams like the Dodgers, the Angels, and Baltimore, like what better teams to stack than those 3 right now? When it comes to trying to find some value and add to your collection.
Yep.
Even I know there's a lot of people that trim their collection on a weekly basis. Like in the Discord, we talk about it all the time. There's people in there that just say, hey, if I'm not using them this week, they're listed.
Yeah. I'm trimming constantly. If it's not one of my core guys or a guy on a team that I have stacked, like I'm always questioning why I'm holding it, because I want as well-rounded a collection as I can have. And I would rather be, even if it's just silly little amounts, like 90 cents here, $3 there, $8 there, and then it adds up to $20. And now I can go grab 3 $7 players that make sense, or a new pitcher or whatever. Like it's still, that's the fun of the game. So if I'm not using it, trying to get it to somebody that is. That's the beauty of everyone being at a different level of gameplay, is that somebody needs that 90-cent card. It's still valuable. It's just not valuable to me.
Amazing. Yeah, there's $5 cards out there. I mean, like there's some that I'm so glad that I don't sell, right? There's some that I sell too early. There's some that I hold on to for too long.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like there's plenty of guys out there for $5 that are going to get you home runs, like JD Davis. Like I won him as a reward as a tier 3. I was like, maybe not the best tier 3 I could have gotten. Like he kind of gets platooned every once in a while.
Yeah.
I mean, for the most part, he does get platooned. But like, I mean, he's been raking. So, like have him in there. Perfect example. It's a 4-game week. The Padres pitching is nothing to be, like scared of at all. And, might as well have them in that NL lineup, especially if you got a giant stack or something else. They're a reasonable team to have. So Who do you like most in game week 24? Looking at those team options.
Yeah. So it's kind of, I have it broken out into two categories. I've got like the obvious stacks against bad teams that even though they only have a 3-game week, you could still consider them. So uh, Colorado at Cincinnati is actually like a nice little cheap stack. Both sides of that I like. It's only a 3-game series, but rough pitching on both sides and could turn into a pretty affordable little shootout there. So I like that one as a unique one. And then Cleveland versus Oakland, St. Louis at Washington would probably be the two best ones in terms of the actual caliber of offensive players that you can grab from Cleveland or St. Louis.
Yep.
And then worth just any team playing against Kansas City. So Detroit. But then the more intriguing ones to me, I like Arizona's 4-game week. It's not like a set it on fire matchup, but they've got 3 games against Milwaukee and then a real favorable matchup against Washington. And Arizona's just a great offense right now, right? So really, really intriguing one right there to have a 4-game week on that offense. And then Boston at Minnesota. Boston continues to struggle with their pitching. I like Minnesota a little bit more on that side of it because they've got the stronger pitching between the two. But Boston heating up a little bit right now. They do have a good offense. I think either side of that is an intriguing, a little bit off the beaten path play. So those are some of the things I'm looking at for this game week.
I like that. That jumps out to mind for me. I mean, I like that Boston Minnesota matchup too. I think Turner just had an insane week, didn't he?
He did. I bought one as his grand slam went over the wall. I was like, okay, time to add that to my Red Sox stack because I already have most of them.
I'm kicking myself for not pulling the trigger on that one early. I've been talking about buying the Turner all season long, and it's
you
just
have
like,
been. You have been.
and I haven't bought it yet. And at the same time, it's like, would I play him every week? Probably not, but it's a good guy to have. I like the value there. I do love,
what you just said is a good question to ask yourself, though, right?
Yeah.
Because the only reason I bought him is because I already have the majority of the Red Sox lineup. I play Red Sox stacks. It's not only fun as a Red Sox fan, but it's a legitimate offense to do it for. But like you said, if you're just rogue buying Justin Turner, probably doesn't make sense. But if he's in that price threshold that you're playing or you're working on a Sox stack, that's a reason to grab a guy like that.
He could, for me, be a boom or bust type of guy, like the fantasy style on a rare AL competition, right? Like if I just play him and set him every week, he's going to have his big weeks. And hopefully everybody else on the team does at the exact same time, right? Looking at those, our favorite topic of discussion, right? I mean, I like these 4-game weeks for the closers, or the relievers. The bullpens are going to come into play in these games. Looking at Johan Duran, looking at Josh Hader, looking at Camilo Doval, those 3 guys.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
I
think what you just said is important, which is like the 4-game week for a true closer has the biggest upside it's the moment where I'm really paying attention to trying to potentially get 2 saves in a game week. It's much harder in a 3-game week. You and I have been talking about this a little bit this week. I definitely favor a setup guy that is just more likely for there to have a high leverage inning develop, hopefully twice in a 3-game week. But on a 4-game week, it's really enticing to have a guy like Doval have a shot at 2 saves.
Yep. Yeah, both sides of that. I mean, a division series like that, the Giants are hot right now. The Padres aren't doing that bad. I mean, like, it's going to be tough game. I mean, Doval and Hader could very well both have 2 saves each in that game week.
Yep.
And that would be, that's even potential. I mean, like, do you go rogue and throw them both in there in your lineup as a flex? And like, you would really hit the jackpot if that happened, right? I mean, like, it's food for thought. I know we've discussed it here before. Let us know what you guys are doing down in the chats. If you guys have anybody big for game week 24, I want to see some ideas coming through. What else do we got here? Let me take a look at, I guess, some pitching matchups. I mean, I love looking at those.
Yeah.
When you mentioned the D-backs in Milwaukee, I mean, Julio Teheran, Colin Ray, and let me see here.
Corbin Burns, unfortunately.
Okay.
Who's heating up.
You've been calling that all season.
I've been calling that all season. It's finally happened. Not that he's been bad. You go look at his numbers. He's been solid. He just hasn't been insane. He's inching back towards insane.
Yeah. He did me pretty dirty in fantasy baseball. This was it just this past start. He had a good one, right?
Yeah, 2 starts ago was really nasty, but yeah, he's been great the last 2. He's been great his last 4 starts at this point. 8 Ks, 9 Ks, 7 Ks, and 8 Ks over his last 4 starts.
There we go. D-Ops, I like this one. Josh Naylor has been on an absolute tear. He's been hitting the crap out of the ball. And against the A's, that's nice.
Yeah, Cleveland versus Oakland, definitely something worth keeping an eye on.
J-Ram is going to be in a high priority lineup this week for sure.
Yep.
What else do we got here?
J-Ram finally heating up. You and I have been talking about him since before we even started this show. He's been undervalued all along, but then had such a cold start. But finally having big games, home run games, multi-home run games. Like, he is the kind of guy that you only need to go off for one game in a game week to make your numbers with him, which is the exact kind of guy you want. Because if he does two of them, all of a sudden you got 50 points, 60 points sitting in your roster.
Yep. Who should we look at some guys? I mean, who's looking kind of slow right now? Like, what are some potential buy lows? Is Vladdy at that point quite yet?
It's a good question. Let
me take a look at Vladdy here. I mean, I know he hasn't been performing too well. I mean, like, if you want to go all the way, I mean, Varsho was a guy who was slumping for a while, and he's definitely a buy now. I actually picked up a second Varsho. And I'm fine playing good players in 2 different lineups. Sometimes I've doubled down on a couple guys.
Oh, absolutely.
It's been helpful for Varsho. It's been helpful with Johan Duran. You know, like, I have 2 of him, and I think I'm going to play him twice this week, against Boston.
I've had 2 Corbin Burns all year, and I play him in 2 lineups constantly.
There we go. And now for me too, like you had mentioned this last time, like when it came to me being a streaming pitcher guy, that also changed with me when, the limited cards in the rare lineups kind of went away, right? Like, now it's just like there's less of a need to stream pitchers for me in those limited AL and NL because I'm not allowed to play those guys in the rare anymore. And that's kind of the reason why those guys were not being used in the limiteds, because I was throwing them up in the AL. Yep. And now it's like, why would you start anybody else when you got, Gosman going, or you got, Nola, who's been pitching really well, or a couple other guys that we got.
My rationale with it is that you win these contests with hitters. You lose them when your pitching completely shits the bed. Yeah. So to me, a guy like McClanahan, a guy like Gosman, these are the guys that I have. I've got Framber Valdez, Gosman, McClanahan, Corbin Burns, Aaron Nola, Bieber. I'm obviously going in order of caliber, at least this season. But the point being that McClanahan can be facing Texas, and I'm still comfortably playing him, knowing that there's a good chance he gets me 20, 25 points, and maybe even has a big game. He's the kind of guy that can be matchup proof. So when you simplify that process, especially because these guys still aren't that expensive. I mean, I got in at a better price point for these guys than they are right now, but still, at this point in the season, none of these guys are breaking the bank in limited. And it's just something that you don't have to over consider. And then when they do get a big matchup, a favorable matchup, now you're looking at that 35 plus, 40 plus, maybe even flirting with 50 points because they're that caliber of a pitcher where they could go out and get you double-digit strikeouts. So strikeouts is the first thing I'm looking at for sure. He's got it fit that K per 9, that box. But after that, I just want a guy that can go into a tough matchup and still grab me 20 plus points and not ruin my lineup.
Exactly. I mean, yeah, pitchers could be boom or bust. I mean, but if you have the guy with the K per 9 potential, they're going to go out there and perform most of the time. And that just makes you feel good. It makes you feel good about putting 2 pitchers in on a game week, one in your flex, like with a 3-day game week on a weekend game too. Like you can't go wrong with that. I'm so glad DJ Local brought up Strider. Was definitely wanting to talk about that. He's looked a little bit rough lately. you think Strider has a strong start after some bad ones. So he bounces back. And who do the Braves have this week? Let's see here.
Let's see. That's a good question.
I want to pull up a couple of slumpers. So
Braves have Philly. Braves at Philly this week, and then at Cincinnati. Braves super nice stack in game week 25.
In game week 25.
Yep.
Cincinnati.
At Cincinnati. Yep.
Oh, I love that. The Braves stack looked pretty nice this week too. Guys, I think I bought Marcelo Zuna for like $1. That it may have overtaken like my best buy of the season. He's just become so playable now. I think all he does is hit home runs. So a couple of the guys, I want to look at some of the pitchers that you talked about first, but a couple of the guys that are slumping hitting wise that could have that potential to, hit home runs and come back around. Chapman's at 10. I think if you go into his last year's card, $11. I don't know if that's a buy for me right now, personally. I might probably hold off on that, but Varsho's still at 10. The other one in there that I was thinking about was Murphy, who's been down, who is a Braves guy, and I know he came down quite a bit, and he's sitting at 9. So 3 names off the top of my head that I don't mind buying low on. Chapman, no. So 2 of them, Murphy and Varsho at 10. I don't think are bad calls to hold long term at that price point.
Yeah.
Who's hurt? Was Murphy hurt?
Is he? I don't know.
Did he get hurt recently? I don't know. Miguel, let us know who. And then let's look at those pitchers. McClanahan.
I still really like Manny Machado at $35 right now. I bought him a few weeks ago. He got hurt. I bought him right at 35. He never really dipped below that. $35. It's not cheap, right? It's not cheap. But when you look at what the top 20 players are pulling for a price, like he gets a hot week and he's a $50 card quickly. And he's one of the best hitters in baseball last year. He's one of the best hitters in baseball every year. So to me, I like looking at the true studs that are struggling. Yeah, Matt Olson, perfect example. Like even better, even like same exact conversation. A guy that just is a really good hitter. He's gonna come back. Sorry, what were you saying?
I think Riley's even cheaper. Oh no, about the same.
Yeah. So these are the spots where it's like, I just wanted a Machado in my collection. I'm not getting rid of that. I don't care if it goes down to 20 because he gets hurt for a couple weeks. Like Manny Machado, as much as I hate him for ending Pedroia's career, is a stud hitter. And he's a guy worth having that when he's hot, he's easily in your top lineup week in and week out. So Matt Olson, Manny Machado, insert player here that works for you. But we talk a lot about what we're focusing on for stacks based on the obvious things against bad opponents, good offenses. But sometimes you got to make a play on stuff that isn't obvious in order to get a good entry, right? Like I've got the full Texas stack with Semien, Seager, Nathaniel Lowe, and Adolis Garcia. And I know that I spent under $100 on all 4 of those cards because I was just on it before it had really materialized. And so go pick an offense that's either struggling, that was doing well, or just a team that you believe in that's going to turn it on in the second half. And that's where you really pay dividends, is make a gut call that people aren't paying attention to right now.
Oh, teams heat up. I mean, that's how you make the big bucks. I mean, like if you wanted to flip or just honestly build a winning team, like the deeper that you go into your lineup, the better, right? But you don't have to go that route. I mean, you could trade people out as they're doing well, buy people as they're playing low, exactly like you said. I've been pulling guys up that have been coming up in the chats as you've been talking.
Yeah.
I definitely want to see if McGough is in there. I guess he's the closer on the Diamondbacks now.
Really? So they moved away from what's his name? It's escaping me now.
Mustache guy?
No, what didn't they have? Here, I'll find it.
Chafin?
No. Miguel Castro. Wasn't Castro getting the saves for them there for a second?
You might be right. Let me see here.
No,
Miguel,
you're right. It was Chafin and Castro. They both. Chafin's got 8. Castro's got 7. But Magoo or whatever, however you say it, he's got 3.
Magoo. Let's just go with Magoo, even if it's not Magoo.
Go with Magoo. We know it's wrong. Go with it.
Yeah, call him Magoo, baby. Good info there, DJ Local. What was I going to say? Okay, let's talk a little bit about game week 25. If we don't have anything left here, but I wanted to throw this out there because actually somebody brought this up in the Nifty Discord on the NBA side of things. What do you think of this? They think, and I don't know where they heard it. I read the article. I didn't see anything like explicit in there. They may have pulled it from the Sorare MLB Discord, but they're thinking that next season, if you complete a full team collection, then that's going to increase the experience on that card. Like when you play them in your lineup. What would you think of that? And they were talking about how the off season is a perfect time to buy in the NBA right now because, like if you have that advantage, and you're a team collector anyways, and you're able to build up a stack or something like that, and that could be a really big, playable advantage going into these daily contests, and weekly contests too.
Yeah, I think that's a cool concept. I've noticed the like team collection tab on Sorare, so definitely like a little foreshadowing there. To me, probably the most core reason that I love Sorare so much is that I fell in love with MLB Showdown as a kid, and it's this same deal where like the bigger a set you have, the bigger a collection you have, the more flexibility you have in playing the game. And so that was a trading card game that you're playing with a roll of the die, but it's the same thing where you collect that whole set and you have that advantage of being able to zig and zag and do different things. So I like the idea of being rewarded for building out a set like that. And I know that some people see it as, well, yeah, if you have all the cards, you're going to do the best. That's simply not true. These are 7-man lineups. There are hundreds of baseball players. You need to pick the right ones in order to come in the top 10% of these multi-thousand person, right? And like, even at that, you need to go even better than that if you want to get a real reward. Top 10% is only getting you a $1 card. You got to come in the top 4% to get something even better. So that comes with starting the right lineup. And I like the idea of doubling down on the collector side of this a little bit and giving people a reason to buy more cards, hold more cards. That stabilizes floors. It creates a more consistent community. So I like that. I think that's a cool concept as long as they don't overdo it. But something that I heard it was a podcast with John Nellis. John Nellis is the guy that does a ton of stuff for Sorare Soccer.
Yeah.
And he was talking about how the first X amount of months you had unlimited trading lineups with soccer, which is how baseball is right now. And that's not how it works with soccer anymore. These are the kinds of things that it's cool to be an early adopter, to be buying cards now. I'm up to like 9 training lineups every week at this point. And a lot of those are commons that are helping me round it out. But having this snapshot to be able to grow our collections, boost XP, those of us that are here right now, if Sorare continues to do a good job, 2-3 years from now are going to have a significant advantage with our showcases. So I like it. I like building out that ecosystem.
That's a super good point. I like how you brought that up. Also, be careful too. Like you said, one of the things that you love about Sorare, one of the things that I love about Sorare is that you don't have to spend that much constantly. Mm-hmm. And Jump Shoot over here brought up collector score, which to me was a disaster on Top Shot. It was just a constant spend. The rewards weren't, worthy of the money that was being spent. The collectible side of Sorare, I don't know if I see it. I don't know. I think it's just too early. But like if you can use it strategically to play your game, mm-hmm. Then more power to you, right? Like you said, it's not who has the most cards wins, right? You have all the cards at your disposal. You could just go buy and stream every single week if you wanted to, if you had an unlimited budget. It doesn't matter if you have that card in your gallery or not. But the cool thing is that you're only allowed to set one lineup. Like one lineup per contest. No multi lineups. the DraftKings out there and the FanDuels out there, right? It's one lineup. There we go. You said it. You're playing against whatever, 2,000 other people.
Yeah.
30,000 other people on the common side of things. Like, let's go.
Yeah. And even within a given rarity, there's only the 4 contests. So at most, you're playing 28 limited cards. And there are, like I said, there are hundreds of MLB players. So it's a small subset, and you got to put them in the right lineup, because how many times do we have 4 or 5 guys that get you 50 points and you got enough duds in there that you don't even get a tier 5? So it's a very small margin for error in order to truly yield in this competition.
100%. Just seeing out of the corner of my eye here, Fernando Tatis Jr. outfield assist to keep the game from being tied.
Really?
Let's go. So sick. He is the man. He's been so solid in the outfield too. Like that, everyone was like, okay, yeah, center field.
Nah, dude's an athlete.
Yeah. He gunned who, I don't even know who it was. It might have been Harold Ramirez. I couldn't really see out of the corner of my eye. But yeah, 5-4 Padres. Hopefully Hader gets the save. And Devers takes me off into the sunset.
We need Devers tonight.
We need Devers. Let's go. All right. Game week 25. We'll talk candy real quick, and then we'll who's Sunday? Oh yeah, Sunday Night Baseball. I don't even think we have to pick. I'll just be the Yankees guy. You could be the Sox guy.
Easy.
Just like last time.
So what are the Sox up 2-0 in the series now? Is that where we're at?
Did you guys? Yeah, you guys beat Clark Schmidt today.
Yesterday got rained out, and Friday was the 15-5 game where Houck got hurt. So yeah, going for the sweep of the Yanks.
Ooh, let's see it. Love to see that. I kind of messed up. I didn't realize like the rule settings in my fantasy baseball league. Like with double headers. I picked up Bayo just to put him in, like, so that if my ERA and my WHIP were low enough and it wasn't in jeopardy of losing those categories, and I needed a couple extra strikeouts, I could throw him in at the late game. No go. So I had him on the bench. I was going to flip him out after the first game. Not this time around, but I still secured the dub.
Bayo's intriguing one for sure. I bought him at the beginning of the season, just being a Sox fan. I think I got him for $1 or $2. Let's see what he's at right now. We gave one away even. Hud's Dog donated one, and we gave one away. He's up to $7 for his rookie card. So working his way up. I mean, this is a guy that has been having consistently good outings. He's not here. I'll you can't see it, but I'll pull up his last few outings here. So in terms of Sorare points, again, nothing off the charts, but his last 8 starts, 19 points, 18, 13, 26, 24, 25, 22, 20. Rookie pitcher on the Red Sox that needs starting pitching. His leash is long. He's locked into that rotation right now. And if he figures out just a little bit more, a couple extra strikeouts, shaves a couple runs off, really intriguing guy at a pretty affordable price point there. And young guys are the guys to gamble on because we have the least amount of knowledge on them. The upside's high. The swings in their floor prices can be drastic. So there's a whole lot less information going into those decisions, which is why he's gone from $2 to $7 over the last few weeks.
There we go. No doubt. Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, Jump Shoot said bad home park. Yeah, that's fair. But I mean, he still pitched well there. So I like that for sure. A lot of good points there. Look, I always love finding those starting pitchers who look good. I mean, not everybody's watching every single game, right? And it's funny to think like we've given away a couple streaming pitchers, not a couple, like a couple handfuls of streaming pitchers here. And they always get shelled the week after we give them away, but then they bounce back like really nicely.
So we give them away, the person sells them for half the floor, and then they take off from there.
Yeah. It's like, I remember, who was it? I mean, hashtag Dean Kramer got rocked after we gave him away, but looked really nice. He's looked really nice like his past few starts too. Like I said, it's not a guaranteed like you must play these guys. It is that these guys are probably going to have better, like do pretty well.
Yeah.
We're giving away $2 limited. So, all right, game week 25. We'll just hit on game week 25 real quick.
Let's do it.
St. Louis Cardinals, Chicago Cubs, only 2 games.
Yep. Weird one. We don't usually see that in a 3-game week, but something worth noting for sure.
And they're playing each other, of course.
Yep.
In St. Louis. Nice.
I will say that in a 3-game week, there's still something mostly you should just fade these guys, right? But there's something intriguing about playing a guy that everybody else is going to fade, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you're still getting 2 out of 3 games of Ohtani, or sorry, not Ohtani, of Arenado or Goldschmidt or whatever. So there's no right or wrong way to do these things, but it's worth being aware that it's a 3-game week.
I mean, I agree. I'm gonna sorry, Brennan Stanfield, but just throwing this up there. I mean, the Cubs are facing Wainwright, so been a little bit rough there. Cardinals definitely need pitching. Like, if there's a good pitching matchup, what I'm getting at is like, why not? Why not see what they can do?
Yep, because it only takes 1 game. Takes 1 game.
Exactly. Speaking of the Cubs, man, I mean, like Morel had another great game week, a 50-plus point game week. And I could have sold him, but I didn't. And guess what?
He had like 13 home runs in his first 30 at-bats or something ridiculous.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
He's a freak, man. He's so much fun. And I think he's batting 3rd in that lineup now. Like, I mean, over at least this week has been like consistently. So
30 games, I should say. I just said 30 at-bats. I think 13 is first 30 games.
30 games, yeah. That's absurd. Who else we got? Oh, the Blue Jays and the A's. That's a nice stack.
Yeah, that's about as juicy as it gets. I mean, there's all the teams playing the bad teams this week are significant offenses. It's actually a pretty intriguing game week 25. I don't have nearly enough exposure in my collection, but Atlanta at Cincinnati, Angels at Colorado, San Diego versus Washington, Tampa Bay versus Kansas City, and Toronto versus Oakland. Those are 5 very significant offenses to consider, all going against really weak opponents.
Yeah.
So it should be a pretty high-scoring game week. So either go for the lower contests or just play the most ridiculous upside lineup that you got.
That's going to be high. I mean, that's what comes to mind there is game week 25, double starting pitchers ain't going to get the job done.
No.
That's what I'm thinking.
Mm-hmm.
That's, you can play it safe, but when you got, like you said, those matchups going down.
Yeah, there's going to be scoring. So at least a couple of those series are going to get out of hand, and those are going to be the lineups that win in the contest.
Boom or bust. I mean, luckily, like my 2 stacks are
Toronto, Atlanta.
I have are the Jays and the Braves.
Yep.
So
you should have a good weekend.
We would hope, but you never
put them all
together. Pitching matchups. Just gonna do a little bit of a skim through here. See if there's anybody that jumps out. I don't know. Let me see here. Musgrove at Washington. Cheaper guys. I don't know. We could skip the streaming pitchers for this week. I think we had a good combo on this on game week 25. It was a short one, but
yeah, I mean, like I said, streaming pitchers is my blind spot, so I'm relying on you for that one.
Yeah, we'll stack them up. I mean, Kramer, Seattle. Yeah, there's some guys out there, but let's hop into Candy.
Yeah, let's do it.
It's been a while. Let me see here. So Candy, rookie.
Yep. Yeah, so Candy dropped their rookie icons. There were a couple delays in the drop. Finally happened. Really cool looking icons. Drop sold out in a couple hours. $100 a pack, 1,800 packs. there were a couple hundred that were pre-sold to breakers, Talking Candy being one of them, small portion, and then one other breaker that bought a good chunk. So I think there were close to 1,600 that were actually sold to the public, and that sold out pretty quickly. They're sitting at around 120 here. Let's see. Yeah, 115. So they're like hovering just over what they sold for. They continue to trickle out and get purchased and ripped. I don't know where the numbers went. There is usually a number of sold, but yeah, these are cool looking cards. So the other night, I actually forgot about this. I didn't even tell you about this yet. The other night I was doing a break on drop day for these. We did 6 breaks. We opened 18 packs. So ton of fun, almost $2,000 worth of packs.
Nice.
Ton of people that jumped in. Some of them have been watching this show as well. But we went through 18 packs, opened a bunch of cool stuff for everybody. And then I had some FOMO. And so I decided to just open one pack for myself, just one. And it wasn't the player that I would have picked, but I pulled my very first 101 for myself. And I grabbed this Ryan Pepio. So I've got it listed right now for not too low down on the floor. If somebody wants to grab it for that, I'd be happy to sell it, but not fire selling it either. Pretty exciting to pull it. And yeah, just to have that legendary gem pop up was a very cool moment and pretty exciting. So just a little personal note there. But yeah, this is a cool new set, not something that we've seen before from Candy. The design is really nice. You know, that legendary card obviously looks great, but you know, I think that let's see, let's get an epic up here. I think these epics are some of the, it looks like they just changed the whole layout on here, like literally in the last 24 hours.
And these are rookies, not necessarily this year. These are rookies going back to other rookie years. Break it down, right?
Yeah, they did some a combination here. I'll pull this up here.
Because I know I saw out there on Twitter, shout out Panther Rob, he had gotten a Acuna rookie, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, is Acuna? I don't know if Acuna's in here. But like, as you can see, there's a Mike Trout throwback right there. Corbin Carroll, obviously a coveted pull. Jordan Walker, Volpe, Outman. But yeah, Bryce Harper, Clayton Kershaw. So they did like 10 players that are throwbacks, you know, and they also did another 10 inserts where you've got guys like Devers. I pulled So I opened a few more packs with, I'll tease this as well. I recorded a video with Ross Stripling, pitcher for your Giants, set to release that early next week. We had a really nice conversation around rookies, his rookie season, just what it's like to be a rookie. So we opened a handful of these packs. We pulled some cool stuff. He had a cool story about Clayton Kershaw. We ended up pulling a rare Kershaw, speaking of the throwback cards. So yeah, a lot of cool stories. So keep an eye out for that video on Talking Candy. But I think that these, you know, there's actually a Mookie Betts. Somebody just pulled the 1/1 Yoshida. I love these epics, though. These are just really, really sharp looking cards. They've got the video on the back when it flips over. So I think this is Yoshida's first MLB home run. But yeah, cool cards, different set. Everybody loves rookies. Again, it comes down to just two different things, right? Candy's about collecting. There's also challenges here. There's an active challenge right now with a weekly challenge to hold 9 of these rookies, which you get just from the one pack alone. So I've opted into that. I've got enough rookies to get my 50 points in the challenges. So I've actually got a lot of the stuff that's getting added up this month. So hopefully I'll get some cool packs. But yeah, continues to be quality product. You know, it's not quite the same type of engagement and utility that comes with a fantasy sport game, which obviously is something that you and I really gravitate towards, just our personality with collecting, but still a product that I'm holding a lot of, that I enjoy. I've got a whole lot of my Red Sox cards. I love them. So accumulating some different stuff, and, you know, It is what it is. It's its own fun product. It makes some really cool collectibles with candy.
Sweet, man. Let's take a look. Maybe the play. Can we look at the plays of the month too? What were some of the plays of the month? I just like how that ties in the actual like what's going on in baseball, right? And shout out to Candy too. They've been doing some really sweet stuff in the community. I saw the Atlanta Braves thing that they got together. That looked amazing. I saw some Candy Fam stuff going on in Seattle for the All-Star game. I don't know what it's all about, but I did see it out there and excited that they're, like putting themselves out there for All-Star Week.
They did the meet and greet with Michael Harris that was based around the Candy Ambassadors. So the Candy Ambassadors are Michael Harris, Pete Alonso, Anthony Rizzo, Ross Stripling, and Jazz Chisholm. So talked about that a little bit with Strip as well in the conversation and how that came to be. But yeah, each one of them, part of that agreement as an ambassador was to do some type of meet and greet. And so Pete Alonso did the digital one via video call, but Michael Harris, people were invited to come to the game in Atlanta and do the meet and greet beforehand. But yeah, to what you just asked, the players of the month, they've really honed in on some crazy low mint counts, which is great because we've got some super rare stuff pulling a premium at this point. And so you can see some of the cool things, Aaron Judge, Freddie Freeman, Ronald Acuna winning the player of the month. And those packs are coming from the campaign challenges. So if you get there's two different tiers in the campaign challenges, and then you either get a standard pack or a premium pack for players of the month. And then there's also the plays of the month, which is its own thing. And those are alternating between retro throwback stuff and current day players. So yeah, I mean, these continue to be really cool. A lot of people feel that as opposed to the icons, which are like the cards, that these plays are their more desired collectible, which I can totally see because it's a snapshot of a particular thing. So one that I just grabbed off secondary, I just grabbed Kenley Jansen becoming 7th pitcher to join the 400 saves club. It's a cool thing. It's out of 30, nice low mint count, something that I was excited to just grab and throw into my Red Sox collection. Red Sox is the primary focus of what I collect. And then the other one was, this one's technically only uncommon, but also out of only 33, cool gold design at the top, Yoshida being the AL player of the week. So yeah, lots of good snapshot collectibles when it comes to candy.
That's so cool. I love that. I need to hone in on my Giants collection a little bit more. I love how deep you are on the Red Sox, like digital collectibles, man. That's going to be so cool to look back on that in the future and see all these highlights. I have a couple of really nice Giants ones that I like, but definitely some room for additions there. Hopefully,
I was just gonna say I made a mental shift I've made a mental shift over the timeline with candy as I've uncovered exactly what candy is. And as we've talked about, Sorare's fantasy and candy's collectibles. And so for a while I was, trying to have a really well-rounded collection in terms of which players I had. And I wanted like the top 50 players, when obviously that's kind of the strategy for Sorare. So I've really leaned into Red Sox games that I've been at, right? I've got all the play of the days of any games that I've happened to be at. There's like 3 or 4 of them that have been fortunate enough to grab those. So really leaning into the stuff that just matters to me, as opposed to something that's going to like appreciate or depreciate based on the player or the whatever. So that's why I've just leaned into the Red Sox a lot.
That's awesome. You been to a game lately?
I haven't been since opening day. Went to opening day. Haven't been since need to get to a game on the to-do list.
Yeah, I'm really bummed that I didn't go to the 15-0 game out here in LA yesterday. I have not been to a game yet this season. I need to get out and get out to the ballpark again. It's long overdue. So I'm definitely going to be getting out there soon. Anything else on the day? I got again off to my peripheral. I got Josh Hader in here for a save with I believe should be a Musgrove win also. So
nice. You got what you asked for.
I did. And now, like I said, Rafael Devers needs to tuck us in. He needs to be a Yankee killer tonight, baby.
Yeah, Devers. Let's see. Ooh, I just got the Doval save.
There we go.
We like that.
We
Needed
like
that. I only had 6 points from Doval, so that save bumps him up to 26, which now puts me at a limited tier 4 in All-Star at 228 overall. So Devers could really Devers could move the needle for me there.
Devers definitely moves the needle for me too. I'm hanging on by a 3. Oh, no, I'm not. I just got a nice little bump. 318th with the 185 and trying to get up to that, sub 300 mark. No, that's a tier 4. Okay. Sub 300 is a tier 4. Sub 180 is a tier 3. Never say never. A tier 3 right now is looking at 218. I'm at 185. So it's doable.
Home run from Devers changes everything.
Changes everything. I feel it. The crowd is on their feet in San Diego. Arose Arena. Josh Hader. We'll see how it goes.
Man. Baseball is great. Baseball's great. I love baseball.
The best.
Devin Williams finally has a 43-point game week in my Sandlot lineup. I'm 12 spots away from $1 there. I need Kike and Yoshida tonight.
Nice. I love the there we go. Hader with the strikeout and the save. Padres are pretty hype, man. Tatis in the outfield just going nuts right now.
I love me some Padres.
I don't. But I don't hate them, man. It's fun to watch. It's good stuff. All right. Well, I will be back next week. Nate may or may not be back next week, but we'll be here live next week. Either way, we'll be streaming Sundays, 3:00. Happy Father's Day to the fathers out there. Hope you enjoyed some time with your pops. Watch some baseball, maybe, all that kind of good stuff. Good luck in game week 24, 25, and I'll see you back here next Sunday.
See you guys.
Peace.